Welcome back to Right at the Wire. Well, we've got an Oaks Prep at Oak Lawn on Saturday in conjunction with the Rebel Stakes for the boys. It's the Honeybee. It's a Grade 3, ninth race on the Saturday card, running a mile and a 16th for the 3-year-old fillies. Really nice field, in my opinion. Certainly, Mohima would be the top of the class. She's been pretty impressive and undefeated so far for Brad Cox. But you do have some interesting challenges. Quick Kick, who had a pretty good third in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Take Charge, My Lady, for Kenny McPeak. Quiet Side, who's been knocking at the door throughout her career. Looking Forward. And 5G, just to name a couple. And of course, the ubiquitous D. Wayne Lucas entry, Going Steady. So we've got quite a few in this race. And being a field of 13, I think it's a good betting race for a number of reasons. Primarily, when you look at the odds here, you see Mohima is at 7-5 in a 13-horse field. Well, I don't know about you, but when I see that, the first instinct is I have to beat her. And there was no better example of that than what happened to East Avenue as a pretty short price favorite in a 14-horse field in the Risen Star. You've got a similar scenario with Mohima in that she is coming off a layoff. It's her first start at 3. Really, more than anything else, this horse hasn't really done anything wrong except I really didn't like that Demoiselle. When you've got a comfortable lead in the stretch and was kind of on autopilot, and then all of a sudden they really had to get after her to get going again to actually pull out the victory because Ballerina d'Oro was flying down the stretch. You got to wonder about that a little bit. Excuse me. What it tells me, what I see from that, is a horse who maybe doesn't have that alpha female killer instinct, to just blow them all away. And so maybe that was a race that was clearly won on talent, not so much a desire to win, if you will. It also may say something that Ballerina d'Oro is a pretty good horse, which I think she is. But I didn't like it. I mean, I can't explain it any other way. Everything else fits. Excuse me. Brad Cox, Florent Giroux, Shadwell Stables. There's not much to dislike about Mohima except the fact that last race, she had kind of an easy lead. Again, not to belabor it, but I mean, I just didn't like the fact that they had to rouse her to actually pull off the win. So you see that. And then you come into 2025 as a 3-year-old at debuting at 7-5 in a 13-horse field, and I have to try to beat her. Just do. So looking at the field now, Mohima, I mean, I don't know. She may, on the rail, go to the lead. Could she win this race? Of course. I mean, she certainly can. I just think I just saw enough to tell me that maybe we can poke some holes in her and try to beat her. You look at the two horses who were true front runners, ostensibly, Classic Appeal and Gunite Max. Gunite Max isn't good enough, and it's interesting to me that Classic Appeal is 50-1. Now, you guys know that Chunk of Gold I called from Turfway and ended up at 43-1 in second place in the Risen Star. Am I suggesting that perhaps because Classic Appeal is coming from Turfway, that she can wire this field? Probably not. I think 50-1 is awful generous for us as bettors. I liked her race. It was a maiden race for sure, and you guys know my feelings about taking a maiden who just broke their maiden going into graded stakes, but it was a nice effort. She marshaled the speed very well. And, she had some Godolphin fillies breathing down her neck and was able to turn them away at 37-1. I think it's a tall order to win this race on the front end, but going all weather to dirt, granted that first dirt effort wasn't anything to write home about. It was actually butt awful, but maybe there were some other reasons for that we're not aware of. Tab doesn't look bad. I'm not suggesting you call on Classic Appeal as a long shot here. I want to be clear about that. But maybe a horse you want to think about keeping in the mix, perhaps underneath, because there isn't a lot of speed in this race. And stranger things have happened, as we just saw last weekend. Jenkin, I just don't like the work tab. This horse has done very well at Oaklawn, but 2 works, that's not going to cut it after a layoff. And I wouldn't even be surprised if this one scratched. And I think probably can run pretty well at 20-1 under optimum circumstances for Lindsay Schultz. She's a nice trainer, but with 2 works, I can't do it. Take Charge Milady. I really liked her last race, the Martha Washington. It came back a little slow. That's my only concern. But I just really liked the way she just powered away in that field and just made Quiet Side look extremely ordinary. And I think this horse is, for Kenny McPeak, has got maybe another gear, is ready to take another move forward. So Take Charge Milady is one of the top 2 horses in this race for me. If anybody's going to beat Mohima, I think Take Charge Lady's got the momentum and is salty because she's got some races under her belt, whereas Mohima's coming off the bench. So I think Take Charge Milady is a must-use all the way around. But I'm going to go with Look Forward, and I'll tell you why. Look Forward's last race, I believe it was the Starlet, she had to battle Tenma. Tenma is a monster for Bob Bathurst out west. And she looked her in the eye, battled her all the way down the stretch before eventually succumbing. But that was a huge effort and came right back off of that and won a 7-furlong race. And that sort of, to me, was kind of the reward, like, let's pick up a paycheck for a really, really valiant effort. But I think this horse is very much for real. Now, you can question the class level out west, but I think there's no denying that Tenma is a big-time Oaks contender. And so at 6-1, in a race where I think Mohima at 7-5, as I've mentioned, is one I think you have to try to beat and is beatable. I love Look Forward in this spot, and I'm going with her. I think she checks all the boxes for me. So going through the rest of Flashware, not good enough. Anonima is kind of interesting for Kenny McPeak. She's got the right progression. She is definitely headed in the right direction. The only thing I question is those 1:16 times are 2 seconds slower than anything that Look Forward is running at. And it's probably not comparable to the 1:08 time that Mohima ran at in the Demoiselle. So just a little on the slow side, but can Anonima factor in this race? Absolutely. That's what the asterisk means for those of you who haven't watched a post of mine before. That means underneath is the extent of my interest. At 15-1, I think she can get underneath here for sure. Same thing to be said for Quiet Side. Quiet Side, to me, has become a major league underleg. She, to me, is like the female version of Built. She runs her race every time. It's just not good enough. That's the bottom line. I think you've got a situation very similar to that here. I think she's going to run a race. I don't think the post matters. I don't think anything matters. I think she's a real tough filly. I'd be proud to own her, like I said about Built. When I reviewed the Risen Star, but she just isn't. She's just not a second-tier Oaks horse. That's the bottom line with her. Can she get into the money? Of course, and I would use her accordingly. I would not take her to win this race. She just doesn't seem to be able to do it. 5G, Vekoma and 2 turns, can't do it, especially from the 13 hole. And that was a really monster race last time, significantly better than anything she had run before. So a regression, particularly around 2 turns, is very likely. Necessity, I don't like taking maidens, as we know, going into stakes races, but I didn't think this one ran too bad. And around 2 turns, at 20 to 1, you could do a lot worse for a value play and to use underneath. Why not? I would throw a necessity in there possibly. Quick Kick, it finished third in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies and has had a couple of positive underneath finishes in stakes races. But I'll tell you, if you go back and look at the fractions for Quick Kick, particularly in her last 2 races, that is not really those aren't really the fractions of a closer. Had to run into pretty hot pace, and usually when you see a closer who, in the last race when Nooney was setting monster fractions, you'd see a pace pattern of something like 67, 68, 105, and instead you get Quick Kick with like a 78 to close. Not very impressive. It may have spoken to the hot pace ringing a lot of other horses out, but it just kind of sticks in my craw a little bit. And you couple that with the fact that Quick Kick hasn't won in the last 2, around 2 turns. I'm a little suspect about her, I have to say. 12 to 1, that's not a bad price, and I certainly would be happy to use her under. I just kind of wonder if this is going to be another bridesmaid type of race for Quick Kick, even though she is the lone closer, which is something I always like, particularly in big fields. But she's going to have to prove it to me in this race. So Quick Kick to me is underneath only. So we look at our wagering strategy. I'm going to try to buck the trend. I'm trying to go against the short price here with Mohima debuting off a layoff, and I'm going to take a look forward. I just liked what I saw from this horse, and any horse that can battle Tenma head-to-head has to be pretty good, in my view. 6 to 1, that's a great price in what is, I think, a pretty good betting race. Take Charge Milady is a close second to me. I think, to me, they are the top 2, so let's go with them. We'll go 9-6, then we'll go 9-1 with Mohima, and then we'll do, we could even do a 6-9 with 1 if you want to stretch it out a little bit more. And then we'll go 9 with 5 and 12 with Quick Kick and Quiet Side, although either of them I think probably are more likely for third, in my opinion. But they are certainly classy contenders in here and don't want to overlook them. For the trifecta, we're going to go 6-9, 6-9 with Mohima. Then we're going to go 6-9, 6-9 with 2, 5, 11, and 12. We'll throw Necessity in there at odds to get a good clunk up for third. Then we'll go 6-9 with 1 with 6-9, and then 6-9 with 2, 5, 11, 12 with 6-9. That one's a bit of a reach because I think it's a little bit of a stretch to think that Necessity would get into second or even Anonima, but what the hell, why not? If we're going to go that way, we might as well cover all the bases. So I'm going to go against the favorite. I think I've got some good cause to do so, and we'll look forward can maintain something around 6 to 1 in what is I think a pretty good betting race overall. Hope our analysis helps you with your own wagering strategy. I wish you the best of luck as always. We have individual postings out there already for the Rebel Stakes, and we will certainly have one for the late pick 5 sequence for Oaklawn that does include the Honeybee as well as the Rebel Stakes. We'll have our best bets and value plays as well, so more content on the way. We've got a Risen Star replay analysis if you want to take a look at that, and our first Kentucky Derby top 10, which we posted today, so that's interesting to take a look at. I'm sure it may spark an opinion from you, and I'd love to hear from you. If you do like content like this, of course, please like and subscribe, and thanks to all of you who have come on board. That's it from here. Much more to come, so stay tuned. I'll talk to you soon, And until then, be well.